Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And going into the World Championship, plenty of different teams this year have won an event. One of which of those, of course, is the Seattle Surge. Started out the year very well, fell off a bit, recovered to actually win an event back at Major 3, but since then have had a torrid time at Major 4 qualifiers and also the Major 4 itself. If they don't perform at the World Championship, what exactly is their plan next season? They have two, arguably, of the top two rookies of the year. Is it time to switch up their main AR and get a more powerhouse main AR in the team? And who could that potentially be? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Thought it was a pretty good video here from Nero. But let's talk this first of all. Haven't talked much really about Modern Warfare 2 as of late. This current, well, year's game, of course, that's coming out. The Ghost of It mentions here that apparently the 6v6 maps for this game are built for 6v6 and they are trending towards smaller and tighter play spaces with less verticality. So this sounds like a good move to me because I really didn't like those. I mean, look, the Arklov Peak type maps of Modern Warfare 1 or Grasna Raid or something like that. I'm pretty sure Grasna Raid, they made the pros play that in the play testing and there was like, what, 25 hard points or something, and the pros were absolutely mind-blown as to what they're playing on a massive map as well. It's like, yeah, apparently there's 6v6 maps in this game that, of course, we play 4v4 and in competitive because pros play much faster paced than, I suppose, your average casual player setting up shop with a Claymore and an LMG. But, I mean, yeah, they're built for 6v6. They should be good for 4v4, especially if there's less verticality and maybe tighter play spaces, slightly smaller than usual. Like, yeah, slightly smaller than the Modern Warfare original maps would, I think, be rather preferable, especially because it's 4v4 competitive, not 5v5 as it was last time round. So, thought maybe some slightly positive news here in terms of what the maps might look like this game. Let's mention Rostermania, though, as Benjay and Asim says, spoke with Repin and he confirmed that Rokkr will not be making any changes to their coaching staff going into next season. So, of course, they've got Brian Saint over there, they've got Looney over there, the kind of two head coaches of that team, and they're going to stay the same next year. I think, honestly, this is probably fair enough, but you've got to wonder, like, how long does it really take until we see some of these organizations getting rid of their general management, their coaching staff? I feel like if Thieves didn't have the success they had here at Major 4, like, and maybe in the World Championship as well, I think that, honestly, JCap and Mudog would have been struggling to keep hold of their job next season, right? Because they went 2 seasons in a row if they hadn't had success most recently, and look, they have had success. They've obviously done a good job to some degree. But if they hadn't, I feel like those could have been 2 targets that Thieves might have just cleared out along with the entire roster and start again from scratch if it didn't work this season. And at some point, we are going to see that other teams do a similar thing. Of course, you can look at Florida and maybe Ogre 2, the decisions that he's made, even though it hasn't really been his decision. Like, you can, Florida Puppeteers, whether someone's pulling the strings from above over there in terms of bringing more ARs into the team. But other organizations as well, if they don't have the success, I think really it's only a matter of time until we see GMs and coaches get fired, effectively saying, look, you guys made bad decisions for 2 years, we're going to get someone else to do a better job. Like, it happens in regular sports all the time. It's only a matter of time. Now, in fairness for Minnesota Rokkr, like, yes, Brian Saint's been there for quite a few years at this point. They have had some success and he has made some good decisions, right? You look at Standy and Cold War, like, that obviously was a great pickup for them. They did win an event that year. There were some questionable moves with accuracy and Major Maniac, but turned out to work out well for them, right? So I think you look at Brian Saint's kind of tenure and his history, and he has made some good calls over a couple of seasons. This season, of course, wasn't particularly good. So maybe it's a situation where they give Looney and Brian Saint another year to actually build a good and successful team. And if not, they're going to, clean house and try and go again. But yeah, for now, they're going to stay exactly the same. Some teams, of course, along with the Minnesota Rokkr, failed to make it to the World Championship. Paris Legion, of course, being one of those teams. One of the teams that did make it, though, was the Seattle Surge. We'll discuss them in a second. None of their players actually appear on this, though, that Random and Stats puts together. A lot of these players, or at least one of these players notably, did not make the World Championship. And that was Slasher here on Los Angeles Guerrillas, right? And Slasher is a name I'm going to mention here in a second with regard to the Seattle Surge situation. He had a 1.5 KD in Search and Destroy in Stage 4. He was honestly, Frying had by far the most kills per round of anyone. Loads of 1vx clutches, plenty of multi-kills. First blood rate was really high. Opening duel ratio, way higher than anyone else. So Slasher was undoubtedly the best Search and Destroy player, I think, during the entirety of Stage 4. And honestly, really turned up in some crucial series that needed to get them over the line. But in the end, the team wasn't good enough. And he doesn't go to the World Championship, despite, of course, winning an event earlier on this season. Now, Seattle Surge, a similar boat. They did win an event, but were just about good enough still to make it to the World Championship regardless. And a rather big question has been raised. What exactly do Seattle Surge decide to do next season if their World Championship does not go particularly well? They looked pretty good at the start of the year. They came second to Toronto Ultra at the Pro-Am Classic. Everyone was like, okay, wow, because I was expecting this team to look really solid as the year kind of went to the ends, as it did at Major 3, but at the start of the year, I wasn't thinking it would be so good straight off the rip, right? I mean, Pred has been an absolute monster in, well, the respawns were certainly, these numbers are completely absurd, like, yeah, his search and destroy has been pretty bad, but to be fair, so has the entire team. So if accuracy is dropping a 0.75 in search, that's not a good sign for, well, the kind of record for this team in search and destroy. But they get good towards the end of the season. They pick up a fair few points the entirety of the season, but then they completely bomb out of Major 4. They go, 1 in 4 in qualifiers or something, and then they lose top 12 straight away at the Major. So if they have a similar result and come top 8 or something at the World Championship, then probably this team can't justify sticking together, despite winning an event relatively recently, and also despite having the 2 pretty much undisputed Rookie of the Years, I would say. Like, Prid and Simp for sure, I think, at number 1, number 2 in the Rookie of the Year kind of, well, ladder, I suppose. There are some other names like Nero and Nasty and Gizmo and these guys that you can put there or thereabouts, but no one, I think, really touches those 2 at the top of the pecking order. So the Flank had a few words to say on this team a few days ago, right, saying what their plans should be going into the offseason, because with Prid on their team, the best SMG in the game that's outside of the very top teams, I suppose, and arguably right now the best SMG in the game, the way he is presently playing, they have a lot of potential leverage in the offseason. A load of great main ARs are going to want to come and play with these guys and play with Pred, and whether they keep Mack, I think, is kind of a 50-50 what they decide to do, but I think on LAN can still be a very impactful and sometimes underrated player. And then Sib as well has shown flashes of brilliance this season, so maybe accuracy is the guy you want to upgrade. Is that actually a good idea, though? We'll see what they have to say.
Yeah, bro, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Most of these teams, if they're like the high-end franchise teams with a lot of money, if they have any sort of good submachine gun players, they are going to do everything. If I were
those
them,
are the teams that have the stock.
Yeah, they are going to do everything in their power to hold on to these money.
Bro, which is why I said Seattle is in the best position to make a blockbuster move. They should get a dominant main AR. If it's attached, it's attached. Like that's what that team should do, because to me, that's what that team is missing right now, is like an absolute powerhouse main AR. Because I feel like they got all the other pieces. Like, I know, Chris, you're high on Mack. I could go either way. But I think Pred and Sib are a lock. But I just feel like there's no way that roster does not look for a main AR. And if they don't, then it's a missed opportunity, because they have so much stock with how good their sub is.
Yeah, Pred is definitely a step ahead right now. He was the only sub machine gun in the top 5 KDs right now. And the rest of them are...
He's a top 3 sub in the game. Like,
you have to consider, though, the only thing I'll say is, yes, Lamar is not the biggest plus slayer in the world. I think we can all agree. Lamar brings a lot of extra and is probably a main reason why that team of young players has been pretty disciplined and solid most of the season in one event. And if you remove him from the situation, you have to, let me finish. You have to make sure that you're bringing someone in that can bring leadership. Otherwise, you're going to have sort of an open question of who's going to help pace at this team when things get a little bit chaotic.
I agree with you, Ben, but we're approaching an era of Call of Duty where that is not enough anymore. If you want to win, it's going to happen.
If I'm Seattle, I would offer Lamar a coaching spot without a doubt.
Absolutely, I would. But, if you're going to drop him in the slot.
Yeah, but I'm going to get a superstar main AR to go with the young SMGs that I have.
So that was a big question coming into this season, right? Should accuracy be the guy they build around here? And honestly, I do think that Seattle made a very intelligent decision building around accuracy. Like, a guy like accuracy with the experience that he's got and the leadership capabilities that he has that are way better than many other main ARs in the entire league, he was the perfect guy ready to mold Sib and Pred and Mack even into, winning players, right? To get them in a position where they can, control their emotions in a way, and they rotate and they play Call of Duty in the correct way. I feel like accuracy's been pretty much the perfect guy, and also his ice factor, especially early on in the year and at Major 3, really did seem to rub off on these guys. Help them really perform at great levels and win Game 5 search and destroys and stuff like this. I don't think they would have had the success this season if they didn't have a main AR like accuracy. Yes, they could have brought in a main AR with more fundamental firepower, but I do feel like he's been a crucial factor to their success. The question is, though, were Seattle thinking coming into the season, do we just need accuracy for 1 year? Like, do we need him for 1 year to build that system, to build that kind of culture within the team, but then after that we make him a coach or whatever they want to do? I think that would be a perfect role for him after his career is over. And there were questions coming into this year whether he would be a coach already. Whether that was Seattle's plan, okay, bring him in for 1 season, maybe 2 depending on how it goes, then make him a coach and bring in a better firepower AR by still keeping the same culture there with accuracy as part of the system, then maybe that's an idea. But the players do seem to give Lamar a lot of credit. Accuracy, like even as Sib says here, word to accuracy, take a route, and then he goes on to say, love you Lamar as well. This is even back in 2020, way before before they competed. So these guys have known each other for quite some time. I think that like Pred and Mack definitely give aCQuRC a lot of credit for the system that he helped create. But if they can't get the results and looking at the numbers, like, you know, something's got to give at the end of the day, right? This has been the thing for aCQuRC. He's not going to be a 1.1, 1.2 main AR in the league. He's going to be around about a 1, a 0.95, 0.98 or something. You're going to need your other players to go off if aCQuRC is going to actually get the results. That is what's happened. Like, aCQuRC's been able to deliver that success to the team, but whether that's a long-term recipe to be a dominant team, that's not the case, right? You might be able to win 1, maybe 2 events, make a grand finals with a team composition like this, but in terms of consistent dominance, you probably, especially nowadays in 4v4, need all 4 players to be able to slay out hard on any particular map. And aCQuRC probably isn't that guy, right? I mean, we can see recent results here. They've lost their last 5 series in a row after winning their last 9 series before that, which is quite the fall off. But yeah, this is the entire season stats in hardpoint. Predator's a 1.1, Siv's a 1.09, Mack and aCQuRC around about even. Search and Destroy as well, actually aCQuRC negative now with a 0.97, despite being so good at the start of the year and still having a great first blood rate, and then even in control, still a 0.95, right? And many are in control, you'd think he could deliver more damage than that. So that's just kind of what aCQuRC is, where he's expected to be and what he does bring to this team. So as I say, I think he's been a crucial factor of this team having the success that they have had, but whether that's necessary in the long term once the system has been established is a question. So the guys on the flank were saying it's time to upgrade aCQuRC for a powerhouse main AR. Now, who is that main AR, right? Because there aren't that many options. I was thinking outside of the league, and I was trying to think about like AR players that really could be powerhouses. Like, you know, there's guys like Assault maybe that probably would do better numbers maybe in the league than aCQuRC, but is that the best fit? There's not that many ARs down there in challenges that I think are like, wow, yeah, that's a guy we should get. I think they should look to the Pro League. So I rung some names here to look at, right? I think on London, like Zero's probably going to stay there. New York Subliners, Crim's going to stay there. Methods maybe is an option depending on what happens with Boston, but I feel like, you know, his Method's going to deliver that much more damage than aCQuRC maybe, but, you know, is he really the best fit? I'm not sure. Attached as well from the Minnesota Rokkr, I'm not really sure he wants to be a main AR, right? He's talked about the fact that he was a flex last season, but even in fairness, attached to that team might work out well, could have some good chemistry going on there, but do they have quite the leadership? It's a bit of a question. The two that I would really be looking at, I think, like, honestly, I'd be looking at Slasher potentially, depending on what Los Angeles Squillers decide to do. Slasher and aCQuRC, similar guys, similar players. I mean, I think, do they still live together? I don't know. But the GA commissioners or whatever they call themselves for quite some time, similar characters in a way, but Slasher does have more firepower and upside potential, I think. Now, what LAG decide to do next year, that's a question as well, because do they build around Slasher? Do they give Slasher the bag and say, okay, yeah, look, you did help us win an event, but we didn't have the success at the end of the season. Who do you want to build around? Do they give the keys to Slasher? Do they give some keys to Huke, right? That might be another option there. Like, what do they do with the Asim? There are some interesting questions. But if Slasher is potentially a restricted free agent, I think Seattle should really consider his services, because I feel like Slasher can add a similar component to that team. Maybe the chemistry might not be as good as with aCQuRC, but if aCQuRC stays as a coach, then maybe that can work. The other option maybe is Skies, because Skies is actually going to be a full free agent from the Florida Mutineers, and he does have a lot more firepower on his day than aCQuRC. Whether the leadership factor and the veteran experience factor really works out there, that's a question mark. So to me, I'd maybe be looking at Slasher, but if Slasher gets extended on LAG, then maybe Skies is the next best option, right, and keep aCQuRC as a coach, or they just want to run it back again. Depends, of course, on what happens at the World Championship to a lot of these teams. Just before we finish out the video, I wanted to mention this. I tweeted this out last night because I was kind of doing some research for stuff and managed to stumble across MLG Anaheim 2014, because I remembered that there was a stat line like this and I couldn't quite remember what event it was. So I looked back at the stats. There's a website called codcompstats.com and it tracks all this stuff from back in the day. And yeah, these were the stats. And the crazy thing about this is actually Scump, Nadeshot, Clayster, and Proofy. This was over 20 maps. They played 6 series, 20 maps over those series. And Scump somehow had a 1.31 KD and dragged his entire team into the positive, despite everyone else going negative. So it was kind of incredible, really. There were some replies here from Clayster and even Nadeshot, right, talking about the fact that Nadeshot even thought about this moment recently where he got a threw away in that situation. They could have ETG. But I just thought it was interesting to look back at the past in this way. And even Ductins Martin says here in the replies, I think either Black Ops 1 Scump Rapid Fire 74U or Ghost was Scump's best game. MW3 Arcade and CTF. ACR AR with Scump was fun as well. I just sprinted at the OE, the overextension in CTF, got a kill, and he'd get me 3 wins, right? So yeah, these guys teaming back in the day, but thought it was nice to look back at Call of Duty history. I might try and find some other ones of these at some time or another. But very much enjoyed your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on a like button. Tells the YouTube gods this is a good video. I just like you should see it as well. And I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.